What is up, Math Superstars? In this edition of Mr. Peterson Presents, we're going to talk about dividing integers. So in part one, we're going to go over the rules for dividing integers. And so these are actually the same rules as when you multiply integers. And so you can see that the positive times the positive will give you a positive number. So in this case, 15 divided by 3 will give you an answer of 5. So when using the rules for negative 15 divided by positive 3, so I'm going to go the negative divided by the positive is going to give me a negative integer here. So negative 15 divided by 3, I know 15 divided by 3 is 5, and it's going to give me a negative, so I got negative 5. So in this rule, so positive divided by a negative, so I have a positive divided by a negative is going to give me a negative number. And so I know that 15 divided by 3 is 5, but 15 divided by the negative 3 is going to give me negative 5. And then you have negative divided by a negative. So let's find the negative divided by the negative is going to give me a positive number this time. And so I have a negative 15 divided by a negative 3 is going to give me positive 5. So in part 2 here, we're going to talk about dividing integers using counters here. And so we have this very simple division problem here. So we have 8 divided by 2. And so what the 8 is going to tell us, it's going to tell us, first of all, that we need to have 8 zero pairs. So that's going to be the first part. But then the second part is that we're going to focus on positive 8. So we're going to focus on the yellow counters. And the 2 is going to tell us that we need to make, so I have positive 2 here, so we're going to make 2 groups. So if we're going to go ahead, we're going to focus on the positives. Let's go ahead and make 2 groups here. And so you see here, I'm going to make 2 groups even with my red counters, because I'm going to show you what to do with those as well. So we made 2 groups of positive 8. So in division models, we got to figure out how many are in one group. Sorry, my handwriting's bad, but in one group. So we're going to focus on this group right here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have positive 4. So with our negatives, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and discard the negatives because we're making 2 groups of positive 8s. So what about negative 8 divided by positive 2? And so here we go, we're going to go ahead and we're going to make 8 zero pairs, which are already on my screen. And our focus is going to be now on the negatives. So we're going to focus on negative 8. And the 2 is going to tell us we need to make 2 groups. So let's go ahead and make 2 groups with our counters here. So our focus here is on negative 8. So we're going to discard the positives. And then we're going to focus, the question was, how many is in one group? So in one group, let's go ahead and count the counters in one group. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 counters, but you notice that they're red, so it's going to be negative 4 is going to be our answer. So what about 8 divided by negative 2? And so here we go, we're going to make 8 zero pairs, which are already on the screen. Our focus here is going to be on positive 8s. And the negative 2 is going to tell us we need to take away 2 groups here. So let's go ahead and our focus is going to be on positive 8. So let's go to make our groups here. So we're going to make 2 groups here using our red and our yellows. We're going to focus on the positives, and it says we're going to take away 2 of the positive groups. So now we need to figure out how many is in one group that is left over here. And so let's go ahead and count how many is in one group. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4, but we notice that we have red counters, so it's going to be negative 4. So what about -8 divided by -2? So we're going to make our 8 0 pairs. And our focus is now going to be on -8. And -2 is telling us that we are going to take away 2 groups. So we're going to take away 2 groups of our focus of -8. So let's go ahead and make our groups here. And we need to take away the 2 groups of the negatives. So take away our 2 negative groups. And now we need to figure out how many is in one group here. So let's count how many counters are in one group. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And they're yellow, so it's going to be +4. All right, we are now in part 3, which is dividing integers using a number line here. And so we're given this information here. We have 10 divided by 5, and we have our number line. And so 10 is going to tell us that our endpoint is going to be +10. And so what we have, our starting point is 0, and our endpoint is +10. And we have +5 here, so +5 is telling us that we're going to face right on our number line. So we're going to face right, and then we're going to go 5 units for each step here. So we're going to go 5 units. There's step number 1, and then there's step number 2 here. And so you notice that our steps are aiming toward +10. And so you see that both of these arrows are aiming in the same direction is going to give us a positive number. So we're left with +2. Let's take a look at 8 divided by -2. So we know that 8 is going to be our endpoint. So our starting point is always 0. Our endpoint is +8. And this time now we're going to go ahead and we're going to face left. And then we're going to walk, each step we're going to take is going to be 2 units long here. So now we're going to face left, but we need to aim to +8. So each step we're going to take is going to be 2 units long here. So essentially I'm walking backwards. So you can see that if I'm walking backwards, I'm going to have a negative number, and it's going to be -4 because I took 4 steps backwards. So what about -6 divided by 1? So -6 is going to be my endpoint. My starting point will be 0. And then +1 here says that I'm going to face right. So I'm going to draw my arrow facing right. And then each step is going to be 1 unit long here. So I'm going to -6. So I need to go toward the -6. So I'm going to make each step 1 unit long. So I took 6 steps, but since my arrows are going in opposite directions, it's going to give me a -6. What about -10 divided by -2? So -10 is going to be my endpoint. 0 is going to be my starting point. And so now this time I'm going to face left because negative is going to tell me I'm facing left. So I'm going to face left. And I'm going to be walking, every step is going to be 2 units long here. And so let's go 2 units to get the -10. So you can see I took 5 steps and the arrows are going in the same direction. So it's going to give me a +5.